So welcome everyone to the latest episode of the Naked Founder podcast, a business podcast where nothing is hidden. Thank you to our sponsor, Financial, the home of money for women. And our guest today is Simon Swan. He founded two very, very different businesses. The first was Hiring Hub, which could best be described as a 14-year overnight success story before he exited. Now at the age of 45, he's gone again. And his second business, Uthful, has won the backing and investment of former England cricket captain, Michael Vaughan. Uthful, without the Y, is set to break even in just 3 months and is already tracking to hit £500,000 turnover or more in year one with only, wait for this, one member of staff. Welcome to all the staff of Uthful, Simon Swan.
Hello.
See, it always makes me laugh when we talk about businesses. Well, here's half the staff here and it's one person, or here's the whole of the staff and it's one person as well. So we're going to talk about the challenges and the benefits of being the only person in the business. But we always start each episode of the Naked Founder podcast with the same question. What didn't they tell you about founding a business that you wish you'd known at the start?
I think it's different for me because this being my second proper business, I've got an opportunity to do things in a slightly different way, having learned everything I learned in that first business. So I would say when I started my first business, I didn't realise how consuming it was. It's literally, you cannot switch off. And I remember going on holiday with my wife, who works for a huge American law firm and has a lot of responsibility in her role, but she can actually turn the phone off when we go away and escape. Whereas as a founder, you never switch off completely. But I am managing that a lot better in this business. And I feel psychologically something's changed in that my relationship with the business is a lot healthier with Uthful than it perhaps was in my first one.
The thing is, you've always come across as super relaxed and so relaxed, you walk backwards, even when you were at Hiring Hub as well. And I've always thought you look about 20 years younger than you are.
Thank you.
Absolutely. This is the benefit of Uthful. Incidentally, yeah. We've got some products, non-sponsored products as well. He just comes dressed front to top to bottom in Uthful products. But in terms of, you've always sort of come across as quite relaxed, but I suppose without wanting to, come up with one of your corny puns, you're like a swan in a sense. On the outside, above the water, you're quite relaxed, but all that work goes on
flapping
under
inside.
The water. Would that be fair?
Yeah, I think I do come across. Well, I know I come across as very laid back and chill. Yeah. I have an ability to maintain my emotions, which I think is useful in business, but I can be very intense, which again is helpful in that I can focus for long periods. I think I'm definitely on some kind of neurodiversity spectrum that allows me to focus for long periods of time and get stuff done.
I've got a feeling most of the founders we've had on the Naked Founder podcast would also be on that spectrum somewhere. I'm going to start off by talking about a subject very, very close to my heart, which is cricket, which is the biggest, not the biggest, the second biggest love of my life. You secured the investment of former England cricket captain Michael Vaughan, famously captain England in the 2005 Ashes, brought a tear to my eye. You managed to secure his backing at the very start of Uthful's journey. How did that come about?
A good friend of mine is a really good friend of Michael's, and I knew from really the media and the press that Michael was very focused on his health, having had challenges with it in the past, and so
he certainly had challenges with his knees, but he's always been a keen cyclist. And
and this is it. So we ended up meeting, and I explained what I was doing with Uthful, and it was the perfect timing really. He'd been playing around with supplements for a couple of years. He had his own nutritionist. I explained. One of the big catalysts in building Uthful was that I was taking 10 or 12 capsules every morning myself and found it a massive hassle, a faff, and I wanted it all in one single drink. And he was in exactly the same position. He opened his cupboards in the morning and they looked like a pharmacy.
Yeah.
So when I explained that, no, I've got 24 minerals, vitamins, nutrients in this one drink that you take each morning, and this is what was in it, he sent that list off to his nutritionist, who gave it the thumbs up. And he was in straight away, really. And not just in as an investor, he really wanted to get involved.
Yeah, because you're seeing these adverts, which are dropping into my Facebook feed and my social media feed as well, which obviously must cost a fair few quid as well. But I always look at a business, and I'm not a Dragon's Den or some sort of wealthy investor or anything like that, but I look at it from my own perspective. And when my nan, God bless her, reached a certain age, she had a pill thing on her desk. Monday's pills, Tuesday pills, Wednesday pills. I thought to myself, I'm never going to get to that point. And then my wife insisted I take vitamins. I got 4 on a Monday, 4 on a Tuesday. And I literally, you would take them. It felt like I was going to choke to death on a vitamin. Not the way I'd want to go out, incidentally. So he came with this idea. So he straight away was on board. When you meet a high-profile investor like that, and I know, unlike me, you're not a cricket nerd, do you just see him as a bloke with 2 legs, or do you just see him as a guy who's got a profile that goes with it?
I think, like you said, I'm a swan and I'm good at looking calm. I don't know. It's hard not to put someone like that on a bit of a pedestal because of what he's achieved in the past. But I'd met him previously. I wouldn't say we weren't friends or anything, but we played football together in the past at Macclesfield Town, where he's a good footballer. He played in midfield. And so
he's a good sportsman, full stop. I mean, good all round, like a lot of these.
Well, he plays a lot of paddle now as well, and he's good at that, annoyingly. So I think there was an element of it's Michael Vaughan, but equally, I was dead excited about what I was doing with Uthful, and he was one of the very first people I properly introduced it to. And so it was kind of a test of like this idea I'd had, because at the stage it really was an idea. I had a name. I'd mocked up a few packaging designs, and I had the formulation and a nutritional therapist on board. That was it. No website, nothing. No. So it was an opportunity for me to kind of test the spiel with somebody real to see how they'd respond.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question. Okay, where is a short leg on a cricket field?
It's on the cricket field, as you suggested.
Absolutely. You failed your cricket test. Okay. So I'm going to take you back a little bit before we talk about Michael Vaughan, because and Uthful and everything that goes along with it as well. So your first rodeo was Hiring Hub, which you exited after 14 years, and I'd interviewed you about that a lot. Just explain what Hiring Hub was.
Yeah, so it's a B2B marketplace that connected employers to a network of independent specialist recruitment agencies. The goal with it was to take the friction out of working with and managing recruiters.
Yeah, and you always used to say to me when I made that mistake, we're not a recruiter. You were just a platform. So you were bringing the two a bit like, if it was a startup today, people would say it's the Uber of recruitment, or it's the, whatever, the sort of Tinder of recruitment. Yeah. You were a platform which brought the end user and the provider together, if you like. Okay. You started that business, you're 45 now, so what were you, 30 when you founded that?
Yeah, I was on my honeymoon designing the logo.
Were you? Yeah. Most people on honeymoons aren't designing logos for businesses. So you're 30 years of age at the time?
Yeah, 30.
And you launched it with Sarah Jones, your former co-founder of the business as well.
Yeah.
Just explain that 14-year journey, because it was a long journey, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I think back, we knew nothing. Well, I won't speak for Sarah, but I knew nothing about starting and scaling a company. So we entered it very naively. And like I said, it is all consuming. It takes over your life and it's hard. So we learned everything from like how to recruit people, train them, build systems, processes, how to raise capital, how to build an application, how to attract customers and try and keep them. So it was a challenging journey, and it was a journey. It was a roller coaster. We had some great times. We had some challenging events. And I look back now, I'm proud of what we managed to build and the good times we had. We had a great team culture, and it's still going now.
I think at its peak, you grew up to about 50 staff, didn't you?
Yeah, with offices here and in Cape Town as well. Yeah.
So and I remember Sarah, your co-founder, saying to me that one of the things you did in the early days when it was just you and her is somebody would phone for you, and she would answer it, and they'd say, "Can I speak to Simon Swan, please? I'll just check if he's in." Like that, 5 seconds of silence. Yeah, I've just managed to catch him. I'm going to transfer you now. And you would do exactly the same. So is there a degree when you're founding a business and you are naive, an element of fake it till you make it? Was that a big part of your
I think it's just
package?
A sense that we had to be perceived as bigger or more established than we were. And little things like that were part of fun, but they had a goal, which was to build trust. We were selling that to enterprise businesses that probably wouldn't have taken, if they knew where we actually were, 2 people in a shared office space in the centre of Manchester University. we probably wouldn't have been given the opportunities we did get. So, yeah, absolutely, it was fake it till you make it.
You lost. You learned loads of lessons from Hiring Hub. I mean, Sarah left the business. Your co-founder. You raised investment, and then you bought that investor out. You raised investment at the back end, private equity as well. What lessons do you look back at Hiring Hub, and do you take into your new business and life going forward?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's lots of business lessons, I think, in terms of just around just running a business in generally, and how to scale it. Like I said, around business, around processes, etc. And then there's the leadership side. But primarily, I think the things I think about the most are the personal learnings of like what bits I enjoyed, the things that I didn't enjoy, and taking those lessons and deploying them in Uthful to shape, not just the business, but the life that I want to live for the next 10 years.
Some founders, we talk about the difference between being a founder and being a CEO. Okay, so private equity came on board. You took a sideways step. That's how I sort of saw it as well. And I always think that you were Hiring Hub and Hiring Hub was you. And then suddenly you weren't Hiring Hub. And it was like part of what made you wasn't there anymore as well. And walking away from a business that you founded can be quite a painful process. Was it painful for you? And when did you know was the right time for you to, plough your own furrow elsewhere?
Yeah, no, it wasn't painful. I think I'd had a lot of time to consider what I wanted to do. Not necessarily next. Like I had no plan when I left, which I think it was.
When did you leave again?
It was the winter of 2024.
Right. Okay.
And so, yeah, no, it wasn't difficult. I was ready. Like I said, it'd been 14 years. I was 30 when I started it. I was then like mid-40s.
Two kids?
Yeah, 2 kids. Exactly. My life had changed, and I wanted to have a go at something else. I didn't want that one thing to completely define a career. And equally, the world was changing. Like AI was on this exponential growth curve. That was getting interesting in the technology world. But it also left me thinking, well, I don't know what on earth could I build software-wise that would be safe from AI in 3 years' time. So I took a step back and realised that I wanted to do something else. Didn't know what it was, but the only way I'd find out is if I left and went and just took some time. There's
a phrase that I hear a lot, which is burn the boats.
Yeah.
And you had to burn the boats metaphorically and step away from Hiring Hub. So just explain that quote and why you had to physically burn the boats.
Yeah, to explain the quote, I can't remember the history lesson that should go with the story, but effectively it's a military quote from a general or something in an army where they take the soldiers to the beach and they make them burn the boat. So there really is no exit path. They have to go forward to survive war. So that's the origins of the quote. And it felt like that's what I needed to do, which was remove my safety net and security blanket and just go forward to find whatever new ideas or paths that were out there. Because I knew that I couldn't, when I was all in at Hiring Hub and consumed by that business, my head wasn't in a clear enough space to be able to get creative again and think about what I wanted to do next.
I think you've always been purpose-led. You've always had a reputation for integrity as well. And you post on social media and invariably it'll be things you'll speak out against bad practice, which I think is what we should all do, really. Gary Neville speaks about the fact that when he retired from Man United 15 years ago, I think he was 36 years of age, he didn't want that to be the only thing he did in his life. He didn't want to be known only as a footballer. And he's like reinvented himself, obviously as a commentator, briefly as a football coach, hugely successful business person as well, and a TV pundit and Dragon's Den. He's got about 58 different titles as well. I suppose when you're a one-time founder, there's a danger that you'll always be known as that for that. Was that something that made you scared?
No, it was not about anybody else and what they thought of what I was doing. It was me. I just think life's short, and I wanted to. I feel at my happiest when I'm learning and doing not necessarily new things, but doing the things that I love doing. And I love building things, solving problems, scaling. Like this phase right now at Uthful, you know, I'm so every day is a genuine experiment, and it's exciting, and we're learning, and things happen so fast, and it's moving so quickly that I'm absolutely loving it. And I think that's the big lesson from Hiring Hub. Like, you know, in year 11, it wasn't the same as years 1, 2, 3, etc. So I'm just trying to enjoy these early stages of the new venture.
I've used this analogy before, but it's a bit like having a child, isn't it? It's a bit like those first 6 months, to that first year, to that walking phase, to that, you know, toddling phase, to that running phase as well. And you clearly enjoy this part. I have to be honest as well, is that you came in today laden with gifts. So I've got my very own drinking bottle there. I'll just point that. And this is the packet, right? And the thing that struck me about it as well is just that, it reminded me of Apple. You know, it's just like Steve Jobs talks about that image is everything. And this is exclusive, isn't it? I mean, one of these packages costs about just under 70 quid, is that right?
Yeah.
Subscription-based model as well. But you brought in that, try it out. You bring people in to do your website, you bring people in to do your social media, you work with a fulfillment company, you work with a manufacturing company who makes this product. You've got ambitions to hit like 500,000 to 1 million, you know, in year 1, maybe just a bit afterwards as well. You came in, you gave this to me because it is just you, right? There is nobody else as well as a founder.
I've got a dog.
You got
Molly.
a dog. Okay.
Yeah.
What does the dog bring to the business?
She doesn't actually. She's quite a distraction.
Yeah.
So yeah, not a lot.
Okay. But you know, I almost think that's the way businesses are going, especially at the start. No expensive overheads, etc., etc. And you can flex up and down. You've not got these people on your payroll as well. You are the ambassador for the business. You can see it in your sweatshirt that you're wearing and the drink bottle on the work surface there. Is that the way to go? Is that how you think businesses are going to go moving forward? It's going to be these, you know, one man, one person operations?
I think it's possible now, whereas it was much harder even 5 years ago, let alone 20, with technology and how the way the world's going. I'm not saying that I'll be a solo founder forever. In fact, I feel like I can get this business, like say this year, to a run rate of over £1 million, which is circa 1,200 subscribers.
Yeah.
You know, we're on a path to that already. So that feels more than achievable as just me.
Yeah.
But the ambition's much bigger than that. And I will need to hire. But I knew when I had 6 months or so, literally just spending time with my family and riding my bike around Spain, waiting for this idea to come to me.
Was it simply a question that if you create the right environment to get those brain cells ticking, something will come to you?
Yeah, I trusted the universe.
Yeah.
And it was true. Like lots of ideas kept coming through my head, but this is the one thing that kept coming back, and it just wouldn't leave me alone. Like, and as soon as it became as soon as I had a name for it,
where did the name come from?
Yeah, I was just rattling my brain. I was lying in bed at night thinking, what are the names that haven't been taken? And one of the things I thought was, how does it make me feel?
Yeah.
And one benefit of it is it gives you more sustained energy. So it's not like caffeine or sugar where you're up and down like jittery and you have a crash. It's like I feel like I've got 20% more energy all day long than I used to have. And I was thinking, energy, but then it sounded like an energy drink, and I couldn't see it. But then I was thinking, so how does it actually make me feel when I wind it all back? And youthful was the word I came up with, because I was feeling as good as I've felt, you know, in my late 20s, despite being 45. So as soon as I had that name, it was like I say, I was in bed and I was hiding the phone under the covers, so that my wife didn't know I was working on GoDaddy to see if the domain was available. And of course, youthful spelled correctly isn't, but I managed to spell it incorrectly. And I got the domain, and after that, it became like I don't know, just giving it a name, it became very real. And also for others, I visualized it as well. I started to design some of this packaging just using AI tools. And then, like I said, that first meeting with Michael, I could take him something and show him a picture on my phone, and all of a sudden it became real. And people took it more seriously, took me and the idea more seriously, and it just developed wings of its own. That was June June 25.
Have you got Have you got any ideas you can share with us that you binned off? You said that when you're doing that bike ride across Spain.
Yeah, I went to see a pub.
You want to do a pub?
I went to see a pub.
Yeah.
A really romantic idea. It's a pub I love in the Peak District. It's called the Swan.
Yeah.
And it's a restaurant and pub with some rooms. And I was thinking, could that be the thing? Could that give me what I want from life? Yeah. And could I put my stamp on that? What else? There was... I think one thing I did is a step back, like I said about the technology, and I looked at AI and I just couldn't see myself building another tech business because I didn't know where that was going. And I asked, like, what are the things in a world with AI that we as humans will value more and spend money on? And one was well-being and health. Others were things like hospitality and experiences, like holidays, etc. So I was kind of going down that kind of path. But I kept coming back. I'm really I'm a cyclist, really into sport, health. I've always looked after myself. And so this was something I was really passionate about.
I think sometimes, I always say, you know what the right thing is to do, what the right decision is. And that might be doing something or not doing something. But yeah, you keep coming back to it. You can't find a reason why you wouldn't want to do it. And also it gives you, it fills you with energy. And the worst thing I think when you come up with a great idea is the idea that somebody else might come up with a great idea and take your idea. That really eats me up, big style. In terms of...
But I can't be like that with this because I literally have to print the formulation and all the dosages on the back of the packet. So it's like, you can copy it, but again, can you deliver it in the same way, the same experience, with the same quality of product, the same third-party testing, manufactured in the UK, all of the things that we've had to kind of tick the boxes to make sure we're creating the best product we can. And I say me.
I mean, from the inception of the idea to actually taking that first drink of that supplement drink was how long?
I think really cemented the idea. It was around June 25. And then the first samples I got back in late August from the manufacturer.
We've got lots of different businesses on the Naked Founder podcast, different sizes as well. Established businesses, multi-serial exited founders as well. You're a two-time founder, a bit like Luke Littler, 2 times winner. Yeah. But you're at the beginning of your second journey, okay? And you are treating it completely differently in the sense that you're very personal. Everything's very close to you as well. But in terms of if somebody listening to this right now thinking to themselves, I've got a great idea, right? There's so many free tools out there that people lose sight of. We've mentioned AI as well. The Simon Swan brand is part of the Uthful brand, isn't it? When you post on LinkedIn as well. What's your advice to founders out there, who are thinking about going with a business startup, but maybe a little bit reticent about making the leap?
Could be so nuanced, but generally I'd say just find a way to test the idea. And that's what's easier now with the tools that are available. It can just be a LinkedIn post. It could be a few comments. Like I met Michael and tested it with him. I met the nutritional therapist Joanne Hill, who came on board and helped me. Tested it with her because she really knew the industry. And the feedback I kept getting was that the concept's good, the brand's good, the product, certainly the ideation stage was really good. I kept getting all this positive feedback, in which case it gave me the confidence to go out and create it.
One thing you've done as well on LinkedIn is you've just been completely transparent. So you speak about life as a founder. You talk about, things are going great, here's a testimonial. And then the next day, the e-commerce side of the business has dropped off a cliff. Okay. Yeah. Why is that? Okay. So just talk about some of the little pitfalls you've had to navigate so far, but also the value of content and being storytelling is fundamental to every business. For me, it is. I know I would say that I'm a journalist, but if you can't tell your story, and there's multiple platforms to tell it on now, you miss a massive trick. So just explain some of the challenges you've had to overcome, and also why you're part of the story, aren't you? Your content is part of the story.
Yeah.
And you're acting now as other founders are looking up to you as somebody to go to share your experiences.
Yeah, I just think those experiences are, it's not every day is perfect and positive. And we've had loads of things to overcome. Like I said, the Meta, Facebook ads just stopped working. We made too many changes. We spread too little budget, too thinly across too many variants. And we had the first day since launch with no sales. And I was like, oh, what's happened? And there's other things, like I had a shipment of bottles with dents in, like hundreds of them. I printed 3,000 boxes with the wrong colour ink. And so there's always...
Did you get rid of those boxes, or did you?
Fortunately, it wasn't my issue. It was the manufacturer, so they reprinted them all. So yeah, there's just, and again, I think the second time round, you can take a view on these things and zoom out and realise that that's just life, that's just business, and take the punches and carry on the next day. But I feel more inclined now to document it without the rose-tinted glasses and to give like, this stuff is good that's happened, this is bad, and on we go type narrative, rather than just sharing humble brags and good news.
That's something that you've never really done, in the sense that, because you've always sort of been quite truthful to yourself. We've all seen the people on LinkedIn who talk about the fact that, you know, everything's going fantastically well, raising all this investment, etc., etc. And you think, and we all know those people. You think to yourself, it's not true, it's not real life as well. Yeah. So, and I think the older you get, the more that part of you inside that says, I need to be authentic. You know, I need to be that person who's telling people that this is the reality of it as well. Clearly, that's really important to you now, at the stage of life that you're at, and you're still a young man, relatively speaking to me. Yeah, no, you are. But being authentic is part of your brand, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't know, it's just me. It is authentic. I don't want to be any different way. The best thing about this business, actually, just that popped in my head, is that I'm doing it, at the minute I'm doing it from home. I do have an office that I can use, but I never go in because it's just me. And my kids are watching me build it. They're watching it literally from that idea stage to, oh, I wonder if I could do this, to samples of things like this coming through the post, and hoodies, merch, etc. They get all excited about. And it's a really nice thing to be able to do as a dad, to show them, like, yeah, you can go to university and become a doctor or accountant or whatever, but you could just have an idea one day and build it.
One of the nice things that I look back on, my two girls are a bit older, but the youngest one's got a big business interest as well. And we used to watch Dragon's Den together. And then the moment somebody comes in and says, the best way to get her to learn maths, she does maths online teaching now, she's got 3 different jobs, was, right, I'm going to offer 5% of my business for £100,000. He says, and then she say within 10 seconds, how can a business that's not generating any revenue claim to have a valuation of X? And I just thought it was nice to be able to share that experience with her as well. And, you know, hopefully your kids will be even more successful than you are. Can you say what sort of revenue you're doing now?
Yeah, what are we doing now? Because every day it's moving up. We've got about 200 odd subscribers, so about just under 300k of ARR.
Yeah.
Annualized recurring revenue. And like I said, the goal is 1 million right now.
And
1,200. And break even is about 400 odd subscribers, so we're not a million miles away from that.
And like, you really celebrate every success story, don't you? Every positive testimonial, every new order. Yeah. You love it, don't you?
I do. Yeah, because it's exciting right now. The best metric in the business right now is retention rate, which is 94%, and it's a subscription business, so it will compound. All I kind of need to figure out and improve is the customer acquisition model, which is primarily at the moment on Meta, using Instagram and Facebook ads. So it's like, what messaging? Right now we've got a brand, nobody knows what it is, nobody knows what's in it, nobody knows why you take it or what the benefits are. So it's just about educating the market so that they understand, why you would take it.
You think you can get to around £1 million revenue on your Jaxi?
Yeah.
Okay. If you look at the bigger vision for the business, I mean, you look at My Protein's not a million miles away from us here in Manchester. A lot of those like supplement brands are worth a lot of money as well. Do you let yourself get carried away and think, oh, this could be a £100 million business, or do you not think like that?
Sometimes I let myself get carried away. And I think because I wanted to create something that could be valuable, one of my personal goals has always been financial independence. So I wanted to create something that could ultimately be sold and isn't totally reliant on me. I dream, but I think for me it was about, is the market big enough? It's a really competitive market. This is. There's loads of great brands doing some really good stuff. Like, one, was there a niche that I could see for me and Uthful? And two, how do I go out and take that segment of the market?
Do you think that having founded one business that you were unemployable?
Yeah, I thought about that a lot after, because I didn't have any set. There was a moment where I thought maybe I just get a job. Maybe I just go and work for a really exciting company that would fulfill me, and I could do some interesting things. But then I couldn't really think what could that job look like, and what would give me the flexibility and freedom to be creative every day, and have some of that control. So I probably am unemployable.
Yeah, a lot of the founders talk about that. Having founded one business, they can't see themselves working for anybody else as well. You seem to be loving Uthful in a way that, it's not to say you didn't enjoy Hiring Hub, but I think that you can't not be slightly fatigued at doing something for 13, 14 years and have the same enthusiasm that you had at the very beginning of that journey as well. Would that be fair? Would you say at 45 you're as happy as you've been for a decade or more?
Yeah, I think so. I think just generally.
Still got no grey hair, I'll be honest with you.
No, I have got grey hair. That's coming through. I can't avoid that. But yeah, no, I'm genuinely happiest I've ever been, probably. I think like you get to a stage, don't you, where professionally things are going well. Family, I've got a 10-year-old, a 14-year-old. Wife's good. Both parents still alive. So just in a really good place, waiting for things to break down.
Okay. What's the last two questions? Okay, we've spoken about everything that's great. Okay, what's the hardest thing about being a solo founder?
It can be lonely, but again, I've been quite purposeful around who I've put around me as a business. I went out and built. I knew I'd need help with performance advertising. I'd need help with the website. I'd need help with fulfillment and that. So I've built a little mini team around me that I speak to daily, and I've got an investment group around me that are almost like handpicked. They're people I know and respect, who have put some money into Uthful. And, I'm meeting two of them for coffee tomorrow morning. So it's not like, I suppose loneliness is the one thing that I can fall victim to. But equally, I've got a good support network. And I'm more, I think I'm much faster to recognise it now and pick up the phone and, if I've got a problem or something, and talk it through with one of the investors.
You've also got a dog, though. It's not a flippant point as well. You go for, what's the name of the dog?
Molly.
Molly, yeah. You go for long walks with Molly, who is the vice president of Uthful.
Absolutely.
But that's such a great thing for your mental health and everything else goes with it. We've got a tradition on the Naked Founder podcast where at the end we always say there's a tradition in the US where the outgoing president will write a letter to the successor. And not sure necessarily that'll happen with the current president, but if you had to write a letter to Simon Swan on day one of founding the business, whether it's this one or the one before, or to any founder, what would you write?
It would just be around enjoyment. You can't be too serious, and I think you've just got to try and enjoy every learning, whether good or bad, and zoom out from the day to day and maintain that happiness.
Yeah.
Because it's all a big game, isn't it, life? And I think you just got to go through it and be happy.
You've never got, I always think even your voice is very sort of
monotone,
quite flat, in the sense that when you raised a big investment raise, or you had something happen in the business which wasn't great, say, your voice stays the same, doesn't it? I don't think you get too high when it's going well. You don't get too low when you have these difficulties. You're quite like steady. Are you always like that?
Yeah, I genuinely are. Sometimes I'm like, oh, what's wrong with me? I don't have huge highs or big lows. I just am fairly balanced.
Yeah. What's your happy place?
On my bike.
On your bike?
Yeah, like a 4 or 5 hour bike ride in the countryside, or a good dog walk with Molly.
How far would you go on your bike ride?
As far as time allows often. So, I was in Spain last weekend and we 5-6 hours.
Right. Wow. How many kilometres is that?
About 140, about 100 miles.
Well, I'm gonna start taking some of this, and if on the back of it I can cycle hundreds of kilometres, well, first of all, I'd have to find somebody to fix my bike, but I think you'll have a new market there.
Perfect.
You'll be looking at the next My Protein. Massive thanks to you, Simon, for coming in. That's all for this episode of the Naked Founder podcast. Thanks to our sponsor, Financial, the home of money for women. If you've enjoyed this episode of the Naked Founder podcast, please tell your friends and family, and do press that subscribe button. My name, as always, is Chris Maguire.